Well, good afternoon, and welcome to another River Landing Conversation. I'm Jim Kalaki. I'm here with my good friend and co-anchor or co-whatever we are, Kay Heflin, and it is a great joy to welcome Nick Rabah to our discussion this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you, Kay.
Welcome. Nick is, as I assume most everyone knows at this stage, the relatively recently appointed manager of our bistro, and is going to add enormously in the next half hour or so to our growing tradition of introducing interesting people at River Landing to other interesting people at River Landing. So again, Nick, welcome, and thank you for coming. And let's begin by saying sort of what's in a name. Where did your name come from, and whichever ones of your names you want to start with, and let's go from there.
Most people don't know that Nick is actually not my name. It's a nickname that I've had since almost birth. My name is actually Nasser. I have an Arabic dad and I have a Puerto Rican mom, and they made a deal. They said if there was boys in the family, my dad would give them names, and if there was girls in the family, that my mom would name them. Well, lo and behold, there were no girls, and so my dad kind of named us, and so my name is Nasser. And funny thing is, though, Nasser in Arabic means Greek, and then when they gave me the name Nick, they didn't realize that Nasser in Arabic is Nick or victory, and it's the same thing in Greek.
Yeah.
So it's the same exact name.
Wow.
There you go.
So you meet yourself coming and going, or
That's it.
Yes.
or something. Well, Nasser has got interesting Egyptian.
Yeah, the president
connections
back in
too.
1967. That's when I was born, and I was named after that president.
How interesting! Wow.
Very good history.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So let's go with where were you born and where did you grow up?
Despite the accent, I was not born in Brooklyn. I was actually born in Youngstown, Ohio. And my parents moved to Brooklyn shortly after I was born, and I raised up there until I was 28. And then I moved down to North Carolina. My heart is still in Brooklyn. My family's still up there. Can't get them to move down here for the life of me, though I've tried. You know, I try to tell them about our fried chicken Tuesdays, but that's not a draw for them.
Oh well, give them a while.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
it may grow on.
Yes. Yes. So what brought you to North Carolina at the age of 28 then?
It was love.
Oh.
Yep. And then love kind of flew away. And I loved North Carolina so much that I decided I wasn't going back to New York City. And so I decided to make a life here for myself, which probably the best decision of my life. And I found myself to be a true North Carolinian. I can actually eat grits and hush puppies. You know, I can't do the sweet tea yet, but you know, I'm working on it. But yeah, it's been a wonderful ride here in North Carolina, and I'm so grateful for the move.
And have you been in the food industry most of your working life, or?
No, I've had very eclectic experiences. I was a international flight attendant for a season of my life. I was a driving school instructor, and was that nerve-wracking?
Whoa.
But in the Marine Corps, in 1986, when I went to the Corps, I wanted to be a motor T mechanic. And during my basic training, they had changed my MOS to that of food service. I wasn't the happiest camper in the world, but it wasn't a bad job, and so I learned food service through the Marines.
How interesting.
But most of my life, since 25, I've actually been involved in almost full-time ministry. And so that's where my heart and my passion is working with hurting and broken and lost people.
Interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of your ministry, you were one of the awardees of a scholarship here from River Landing. So why don't you let people know what you're doing with that?
I was so blessed to be able to be a part of that scholarship. I go to school up at Fruitland Baptist Bible Institute in Hendersonville. I'm finishing my biblical theology degree. I've got 2.5 classes to go. It's 0.5 because they're divided into 10 weeks each.
Okay.
So I got 2.5 classes to go for my degree. And that actually helps me because as of September, I had taken on a pastoralship of a small church in Stokesdale called Crossroads Community Church. And so that's been nothing short of a blessing.
How neat. So do you travel back and forth to Hendersonville, or is it all?
No, it's all online.
Yeah, that's right. I'm supposed to catch up with.
Yes.
with things like
Welcome to the new age.
There he was, crawling into the 1970s.
How did you find out about the job here at River Landing?
Oh, that's pretty interesting. I was working at Chick-fil-A as a back-of-house kitchen manager, and there was a dining manager opportunity at Salem Town, which my fiancée is the vice president of human resources. So I thought she'd be pretty excited to get me to fill out an application and to interview me. And she told me there was no chance that was going to happen. And so I kept on looking, and this actually showed up on Indeed, and I applied, and I got to speak to Joseph and Jeremy first. And then after that, I got to speak to Tom and Lisa, and just what absolute pleasure it was to have an interview with them. And so many things meshed, and so many things just, you could tell that I was in the right place at just the right time, and they felt the same way, and they offered me the position the next day.
Excellent. Excellent. We agree with their decision.
Thank you.
So Nick, what is your role at River Landing, more precisely, and is there such a thing as a typical day?
There is no such thing as a typical day. We'll take this past Monday, for instance, when we ran out of ribs.
Oh.
That was not a typical day. But my typical day starts about 9 a.m., sometimes a little earlier, usually ends at about 7:30 at night. And it begins with just prepping everything for the lunch meal and getting it out of the line, making sure that it's ready and that we have enough product, making sure that I'm fully staffed, because there was a season when things were just rough.
Yeah.
But right now we're fully staffed, and I'm grateful. And then, of course, we take our break, and then we get resupplied and for the dinner meal. And then we just clean up at 7 o'clock, and usually we're out the door by 7:30. But my role as bistro manager, and I tell people this, a lot of people think that as bistro manager that I have a hand in the cooking. I have zero input when it comes to cooking. All right, that is not my forte, not my gift. My job is to make sure that the bistros run well, that the needs of the residents are being met, that if there's anything that went wrong, that I hear about it and try to make course corrections. Of course, I do the scheduling and evaluations and things like that. So a lot of things that I do are either on paper or relational. And the greatest part of my job, Jim, is going around when I have free time and just passing by the tables and just asking people how they're doing. And in some cases, I'll pull a chair up, and we'll just chat for a little while. And that's probably my greatest joy.
Yeah. When you say you're fully staffed, what sort of numbers are we talking about for like full and part-time people?
Well, I have right now I've got 8 cashiers, which is a +1 situation. So if somebody calls out, I always have a +1, because there's never a problem with sending somebody home early if we're too staffed.
Yeah.
People will always want to go early, but if somebody calls out and you don't have one, trying to get somebody in is difficult. So I'm +1 on the cashiers, and I also have +1. Grateful for a new hire, which is actually the sister of one of our current employees, Hayden. Hayden's sister Ashton is now with us, so she makes +1 on the cook side, and so I can actually have a cook call out and I'll still be okay.
So well protected.
I am well protected, well cushioned, and I aim to keep my staff because they are amazing.
Yeah,
Good to hear.
great. One of the things that happened this fall with a Furl thing, it was a fabulous series that Joe and Joseph did with tours through the kitchen. It was amazing to see the amount of work that goes on there between the bistro and the water's edge in relatively close quarters. Do your staffs overlap, or when you say you're at full staff with the bistro, is that bistro only, or do you?
There is
sort of
some overlap
interchange?
in the kitchen. There's a section of the kitchen that's kind of delegated for getting the bistro meal served. And then on the other side, they work on the water's edge and the Wayfarer. And is there a little bit of bumping? A little bit, but it is not bad, because a lot of our stuff is pre-prepped and then we take it out to the line, like the sandwiches and the salads. But when it comes to the hot bar, we have a section inside the kitchen where Sandy primarily is the head cook over that. And he does an amazing job of getting those soups out and getting those meals out.
Neat, neat. Okay.
So, do you have any special memories that have happened so far in your short time here, as far as your work here at River Landing?
My favorite memory, and I've shared this with many people, I had gone on deliveries. I'm not so familiar with where all of the resident halls are, and so I decided one day that I'd like to go with one of the cashiers and make deliveries. And we went to see a resident who was not able to leave her apartment because she wasn't well. And as we delivered the food and she was telling us about her back pain, I was just listening. And finally, when she said what she wanted to say, I asked her, I said, do you mind if I pray with you before I leave? Because I really feel like, you know, that would be the right thing to do. And she just looked at me and she said that she would love it if I prayed. And I prayed over her issue. And then her eyes just filled up with tears. And she said, you have no idea what that meant to me. And I actually had the cashier who had seen that. And that actually touched her. And she remarked to me that that was incredible. And that she really appreciated being a part of that.
So touched two lives at once. Yes, very nice. Wow. Very nice. Yes. What about your life that people here at River Landing probably don't know that you might like to share with them?
My life, I've got 4 kids ranging from ages 28 all the way down to 8. Okay, so yeah. So by the time my youngest hits college, I'll be collecting Social Security. You know, so
I'm ready to live in River Landing.
yes. I'm also getting married this Monday, which will be December 5th. I will be flying down to Key West with my fiance, and then we'll be heading to the courthouse on Monday morning, and then marrying on Smathers Beach in Key West at 5 p.m. while the sun is going down over the ocean for just an incredible photography experience. And so I am so delighted to be able to have that happening.
Yeah, very exciting. Yes. How did you pick Key West?
Oh, I didn't. The initial, she is very research orientated. And so she had like a list of 7 different places we could honeymoon. And the top one was a Costa Rican cruise with the marriage package included. And then when I saw the price tag and then had a semi-heart attack, I said, okay, we need to tone it down just a little bit. And so we decided on Key West, and she had researched, and so we thought that would be an amazing place to go, and we didn't have to do any customs or passports or anything like that.
Oh, nice, yes. Oh.
So after you've watched this program, ladies and gentlemen, if you see this beaming, smiling guy wandering around the halls, you know there's a little extra beam perhaps.
Yes. I am so excited.
Great.
Yeah.
How wonderful. What's been your biggest surprise at River Landing?
My biggest surprise was the way that I've been able to assimilate and integrate with the residents. I didn't expect that there'd be so much interaction, and so I've made lots and lots of friends here. I have so much support, prayer support, encouragement, people that are always coming to me and telling me just how wonderful things are going, and letting me be a part of their lives and what's happening with their grandchildren. And so the family aspect of what's happening here at River Landing has been my greatest joy.
Very nice, very nice. If you could arrange some time, whether it's a dinner or just time to talk, with 3 people with us now or deceased, who would you select?
Well, most people would find this probably cliche, but 2 people that I'd love to have a conversation with, of course, is I'd love to have some fish and bread with Jesus. I just would, you know. Yeah. I would also like to pick on the Apostle Paul's ear because of all of the things that he went through and was able to overcome. But there's one special person. During a period of my life when things were not so good and I was struggling, there was a young pastor who was a part of my life, and he was dying of cancer. And he had invested heavily into my life. And before he had passed away, he had bought me a beautiful Bible that I still have to this day that I use as my main Bible. But he never really got to see the fruit of all his work and labor. And so I would love to show him that his work was not in vain and that everything that he deposited in me bore fruit at some point.
Neat.
Very nice.
Nick, we haven't talked, though I'm not sure, given what you've told us already, that you have time for things like this. But do you have hobbies outside of work, like sports or music or drama or?
Well, my biggest hobby, and I don't get to do it as much, is I have a beautiful Harley Davidson that when the opportunity and the weather permits, I like to just jump on and ride. You're right, I do stay busy between writing sermons and being in school and working here and then going to be with my son. My days stay quite full, but riding my Harley is probably my greatest joy. And I also love going out to nice restaurants and new locations and just experiencing different food.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoy doing that. And I'm still a movie buff. If I can get to a movie theater, especially if it's a superhero movie, if I can get out, I'm gonna go.
All-time favorite?
Oh, my all-time favorite movie is probably, probably the Avengers series. I just love all of the DCs and I love all of the Marvel. I'm just still an old soul when it comes to comic books.
Yeah. So you fit in well with your 8-year-old.
Oh,
probably.
yes, we do. Yeah,
yes.
he loves, but he's got different likes. Like his is Ninjago, where these. So the cartoons have changed.
Nick, when you, as a restaurateur, when you go to a restaurant, I'm always curious, do you find yourself being not extra critical necessarily, but most of us go into a restaurant and we have a meal and we enjoy the meal and stuff like that. Do you find yourself looking around at how the place is being run and not more than probably the rest of us might?
I do. Recently, I took my family out to the Cheesecake Factory, and I realized it's been 17 minutes since we placed our order, and nobody's even come to say, hey, we're still working on it, it'll be out shortly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I do look around and I wonder at their service level and how many staff, because I do know staff is an issue everywhere. And I don't ever want to make a server or a cook feel as though that they're not doing the best job they can, because I know that most places run shorthanded, and if people could see what's really happening behind the scenes and see how much work is being put into getting their food out or to serving them, probably complaints would probably lessen. And so I always take that into account. But yes, I do. It's just like when I used to be a manager of a shoe store. I think I spent 6 months looking at everybody's feet.
Oh. So restaurants might be a step up, so to speak.
Okay, gosh, this is. Didn't know we were going to put in for a prize for humor.
Oh. Are there any questions we haven't asked that you thought we might delve into?
No, I think I've included some of the things that I do. The fact that I'm getting married in less than a week, and the fact that I've got the glorious pleasure of pastoring a small church, and a little bit about my kids. But no, I think that you guys have hit on some pretty good questions, and I think, like you said, we've had a little bit of humor with some of them, and so I think everything was covered, and it was just a joy to be able to share all of this with you.
Great. We think it was a joy for you to be here. So
yes, it sure was.
Yes, welcome to River Landing again, a little bit late, but when did you actually start?
I started the day after Memorial Day.
Okay.
So it'll be about 6 months.
Wow,
Yeah.
boy.
So
It's
still
gone quickly.
Time flies.
still a
when we're
newbie.
having
Yes.
fun.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Well, thank all of you for joining us this afternoon with our interview with Nick, and we look forward to seeing you again, but not next week, right?
Indeed, yes, we are. This concludes our fall series. We thank you for joining us. We look forward, we are working as we speak, literally, on the spring series. We will start taping in
January.
and we will air our first broadcast in the middle of February. We'll continue on Friday afternoons at 3, and we look forward to being with you throughout the spring term. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful Christmas, New Year's, and whatever other holidays you're celebrating over the next couple of weeks. Thank you so much. And again, Nick, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Kate.
Shirley.